at the board.
And this is a matchup that the Indian fans are super
Quiet at first, and then things opened up. So instead of playing d4, as a lot of kids are taught, played for d3. And Tanya, this decision right around, here it comes, g5. White just castled, so that means that the king can't go the other way and attack the black king. So now that White's king has committed itself, we usually think of castling as going to safety. But because black has not done the same, now there is an opportunity to strike on the king side. And we see that Vidit, he's well versed in these lines. With this pawn now on h3, it kicked the bishop back. But we see with his last move, at some point g4 can be very dangerous for the white king.
He's hinting at it. He's making it very clear that that is the plan, and the big question for white will be how would you react if black does get a successful g4 in. For black, you can't go castle on the king side right now. You've got to try to find some safety for your own king, because for white, it's clear. For Pragg, he needs to strike in the center. If Vidit decides to play on the flank, he wants to try to get a successful d4 break in. I like this preparatory move by Vidit, queen to d7, because when white does strike in the center, you will always have the option to go with your king to the queen side, alongside castle, connect your rook and keep it a little more safe. Queen d7 also makes the g4 break even more powerful, because the queen will join the attack quickly.
It looks so dangerous for white. I do not envy Praggnanandhaa's chances, his position. I think it's so risky to have your king in the corner like this when black has this opportunity to play g4. And Shone had tried to push too soon, it probably would have backfired. So Vidit, he is an experienced player, and we see him there. He's focused on this game. Imagine, after yesterday's success, if we continue that today, he may even be able to fight for the top places.
He's got 2 out of 3, and it was quite a comeback given how he ended day 1 with a winning position against Maxime, who is today the tournament leader. He was a rook up, and he did say that that was quite a devastating loss for him, but he has scored big on day 2. He is in the mix, and right now with the black pieces, this is going to be a big fight. I think it might be time for Pragg to start looking at ways to create his own activity. A d4 is a break that you're always looking at, but with this pin along the h5 d1 diagonal, black just feels like you have too many pieces controlling that square. b5 or preparing it with a4 and then b5 would be something that white needs to think of, because very soon there's going to be a hailstorm towards the white king.
I've seen enough things to lose hope. Your years are going. I am even stronger now. Evil is lurking around you, and maybe I'm mistaken.
Even that's not a question that's so easy to answer, right? It would be normal, it would be standard to say that black's king is uncastled, it's in the center, so feels a little unsafe. But look at that white king as well, with the h line open, no h pawn in front of it, the queen and the rook on g8, just making sure that there's an indirect threat always on the f3 and the g2 square. I don't think the white king is feeling absolutely safe itself, but this is the point that Pragg has taken all the active squares with that rook on e1, forcing black's queen to fall back, and now I'm just wondering, can he continue putting the pressure? Is d5 a move here?
It looks like the move that anyone would play in bullet chess, but perhaps there's some tactics related to this f3 knight that you mentioned, that there is a lot of tension and pressure on the square. So let's look, d5, if that move was played, no, the engine hates that move.
Whoa.
And what could it possibly be? D5 is so obvious, and what is the deal here?
I would think it would be queen to f5 to put pressure on that knight on f3. You've got to keep the queen on the diagonal so that if white actually captures on c6, you can go bishop takes knight and then enter on h3 with the queen.
Right, the queen. Oh, if you take back queen, and this bishop is a hero because after king g1, rook takes g3 is checkmate. You can't take it back. See that? It's not letting me do it. It's not a bug. It's a feature. That pawn is pinned. But there is a tactical note here. I saw the engine start to. I was going to go for queen f5 as well. It started to go back a little bit, and maybe white can get away with a knight h4 with a tempo against the queen. So right idea by us, slightly inaccurate execution. Queen back to c8 has the same idea, but after pawn c6,
Wow.
bishop f3 then, and the queen goes into h3 with check.
It's always so awesome in chess when you have this natural forward going move, queen to f5, but it just doesn't work. And it's actually the same idea, but you have to make the retreating move to make the plan work. And again, from a human perspective, when you've got seconds on the clock, you'll just play queen f5 without thinking, right? And then suddenly your position falls down. But right now, if d5 doesn't work, then you have to be really careful about that move because it opens up that bishop on a7, which is why Pragg, being super precise, keeps that bishop blocked, keeps the tension on e5, and first trades off on c6. And there are potential threats on the e5 pawn, but the biggest threat in the position is bishop takes knight on f3.
And for white, that might mean a queen takes c6 move here. It protects the f3 knight and attacks the rook in the corner. But I don't think that Vidit's so unhappy about what's just transpired because his king on f8, it is a bit towards the center. That could be in the open. But without so many white pieces towards it, it doesn't feel so unsafe. But I think Pragg can safely grab this pawn on c6 for the time being. It is just a messy game right now.
And as you said, this one for the Indian fans, a big one. Pragg is the star of India, but with it is also a superstar of India. We did ask our chat for their predictions, and we've got our poll results from Twitch coming in. Pragg at 24% favorite to win this. Vidit, a huge fan favorite here at 35%. And the chat feels that it's going to be a draw. That's the majority. I don't know who to go with because it's such a messy position, but I will say that it will be a decisive game.
A draw would be hard to find in a position like this unless there's some kind of repetition later on or perpetual check. So this feels like a game that will come down to the wire. Are any games closer to the finish line?
Let's take a look. And again, there is fire across the boards. We did check in with the not-a-back hurry position. Albar gives a huge advantage to white. Look at that knight on d5, that rook on e7, the bishop coming into the attack. Is there some kind of a checkmating box that the black king is in?
It was a checkmating net, and here you see a resignation. It is a forced mate and a win for Praggnanandhaa. So he made me eat my words.